and get that started. Sorry. So today we're talking about the Coyote Creek Agrivoltaic Ranch project in Sacramento County towards the east portion of the county. This is the agency scoping meeting. We are holding a public scoping meeting tomorrow evening for any members of the public who wish to also provide a comment on the direction of the EIR. My name is Allison Little. I'm an associate planner with Sacramento County Planning and Environmental Review. Along with me is Julie Newton, senior planner, and Joelle Enman, the environmental coordinator. We have contracted with AECOM to prepare the environmental document for this project. The project manager is Stephen Smith, and Matthew Gherkin is the project director who will be speaking today about the project. So the purpose of this meeting, of course, is to gather input for the environmental impact report. We'd like to focus on what environmental topics should be considered in the document, any alternatives, mitigation measures, and general concerns that your agencies may have with the proposed project. Briefly, we'll go over the environmental review process. We are currently in the notice of preparation period. Today is obviously the scoping meeting, and the comment period for the notice of preparation ends on February 18th. We have had one agency request to extend that, and of course we will consider any comments that come in a reasonable period of time for us to develop the EIR. The general schedule is here on this screen with hopes to make a draft EIR published in the summer of 2022. There will, of course, be more opportunities to provide comment during that draft EIR 45-day comment period. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Matthew Gherkin to talk about the project.
Thank you, Allison. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Excellent. And thanks everybody for taking the time to learn more about this project and to provide your input on the EIR. The project is located in what is colloquially known as Barton Ranch, south of US 50, northwest of Rancho Murrieta, adjacent and southeast of the Prairie City SVRA, or State Vehicular Recreation Area. The project site, if you add up all the parcel acreage, the total is 2,555 acres, although a smaller portion of that would be affected by project improvements. Project also requires an offsite about 1.3 mile transmission line to connect with existing SMUD facilities. This is a 200 megawatt solar facility with on-site substation and storage, meteorological towers, backup generators, access and internal roads, as well as fencing, the transmission line that I mentioned, and also a switch yard. Next slide, please. This aerial image with an outline shows the project site, including portions of the Prairie City SVRA that are required for the transmission line to connect in with existing SMUD facilities just west of the project site. Next slide shows a more detailed depiction of the proposed project, including the location of the interconnection with SMUD facilities, entrance gates, where solar arrays are proposed, battery storage, and substation up in the northwestern portion of the project site, as well as other project details that are also included in the notice of preparation. Next slide, please. Project objectives are listed on this slide and in the NOP and include the objective to provide a local supply of solar energy, cost-effective utility scale solar to help with SMUD's net zero target and renewable portfolio standards, to comply with SMUD guidance in doing so on sizing It's other criteria. Optimize the use of existing electrical transmission that's available in the area and provide local employment and training opportunities. Next slide, please. A couple of additional details on the next 2 slides. These solar photovoltaic or PV panels would be mounted on tracking systems, grouped in arrays and arranged in blocks. There would be power conversion stations included and energy storage in either warehouse or modular structures, 400 megawatts of capacity. The transmission headed out to the west, or GenTie that I mentioned, would be about 1.3 miles and on about 150-foot tall poles to connect with existing SMUD facilities. And this transmission across to the west would pass through the SVRA and may require some improvements and changes at the SVRA, the Prairie City State Vehicular Recreation Area, which may require changes there and will be analyzed as part of the impacts of the proposed project. Proposed project has about a 35-year estimated lifespan and will be required to decommission to restore to current conditions once the project life is complete. Construction would take about 12 months, involve about as many as 250 workers a day, 5 to 40 truck trips. Grading would affect a significant portion of the project site. And in this process, the PV panels will be placed on driven piles. On the operational side, the solar component is going to be monitored remotely. And so the number of employees on the site on a given day will be pretty low. Limited maintenance, security personnel, 4 to 10 trips a day. Though about 1 to 4 times a year for about 14 days, up to 10 individuals would be required to wash the panels. Project also proposes to continue sheep grazing during the operational phase of the project. Next couple slides have some representative photos just to give you a feel. Substation is a solar facility from 100 feet on this slide. Here's about what an access gate road might look like, what a battery storage building could look like. Now to the EIR, it will include the following chapters listed on this slide that include project direct impacts as well as alternatives analysis, cumulative impact analysis, and other CEQA required topics. Based on the county's preliminary considerations, the topics listed on this slide would have a detailed treatment in the EIR, including aesthetics and ag, air quality and biological resources effects, climate change, cultural and tribal resources, hazards, hydro and water quality, land use, noise and vibration, transportation, and wildfire related effects. But we're interested in your opinion on what we should study in detail, what alternatives we ought to consider, and specifically what mitigation measures we should be looking at. We'd like for you to provide comments by February 18th to Joelle Inman, whose contact information is listed here, as well as the generalized CEQA@saccounty.net email account for your input on the topics we described earlier. I'd like to now turn it to Allison to moderate your comments. Thanks very much.
Thank you. I guess first, let's open it up if there are questions about the project, anything you'd like us to clarify or try and clarify in this short time we have right now. If there aren't any of those, then I'm happy, we're happy to start writing down your comments. And if you'd like me to go back to any slides in particular, just let me know.
This is Nate with Current Planning. None here. Thanks, Allison.
Hi, Allison. This is Dimitri, Water Resources. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Cool. Sorry, I got the invitation to the meeting a little late, so I'm still trying to get oriented. The project did mention quite a bit of grading, and I'd like to ask if that grading's been conceptualized at least. To the south of these projects, we have some creeks, so
Yes.
want to understand how that would affect those creeks.
Yes, we do. So there are full-scale grading plans, or anticipated grading plans right now at the county, and we can get you copies of those if you haven't had them yet. The grading, I believe, is limited to these solar arrays, these hatched areas. That is where they're going to be putting in the solar panels and the auxiliary roadways and that sort of stuff.
Okay. So there's really not much by the way of anyone living out there. So the impacts would be minimal, but would want to understand what they are. The federal floodplain starts just south of here, and it's typically about a square mile of a drainage shed area, which is where the federal floodplain stops. So we'd have to again study that in a bit more of a detail. All of these documents are available on the planning website, I'm assuming, correct?
Yes, they are available through the planning projects viewer. Mm-hmm.
Great, thank you.
So actually, Dimitri, I do have a question for you. Scott Road is kind of a notorious road to have flooding issues. Would you be looking at that as well, or more of just their access points where they're going to put their gates?
It wouldn't necessarily be the access points. It would be, crossing off the channels. I'm not sure that this is exactly where the flooding on Scott Road is. I think it's a little ways from here. So,
oh, okay.
Again, I'm just getting familiar with the project. This is actually going to be in the north side of the county, so I'll make sure to forward this information to Michael Durkee. But so Scott Road does have about halfway down to Latrobe Road is where the creeks are crossing it. So this may be further south than this project, but the creeks themselves do extend. So through the project, it appears, through the southern portion of the project. So I'd have to study that with a little bit more of a detail. That would be obviously the impacts. Aside from typical erosion sediment control, this may be outside of the stormwater utility. I'd have to confirm that, which basically means all the stormwater quality regulations would be guided by the state. Again, that is left to be confirmed. So am I clear to understand that this being a scoping meeting is very much akin to a PAM, pre-application meeting?
Sort of. It's your knowledge, your agency's expertise to help guide our analysis in the EIR. Obviously, we'll be working
Understood.
with you guys more closely.
Sure, understood. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
This is Susan Harry. Could I ask a question, please?
Yes.
Could either the county or somebody who, some representative on the call, maybe AECOM, talk about the placement of the solar arrays on the site and, you know, the rationale behind the configuration that's shown?
Yeah, Matt or Steve.
Hey, Allison, this is Joelle. That might be a question for the applicant, actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think Jim is here with us.
Yeah, I am here. We generally don't get involved in the NOP scoping meetings, but I guess what was the question? I'll do my best to answer it.
Oh, hi. What is the rationale for the configuration of the solar arrays that's shown on the site plan?
Resource avoidance and topography generally.
Yeah, can you be more specific about that?
Well, yeah, there's certainly some drainage that runs through the site, and so you can kind of see how that results in some gaps between the arrays. There's also some topography on site that makes it you know, a grading challenge to try and utilize some of these gap areas. There's vernal pools in the area that we're avoiding. We don't want to have any direct impacts to vernal pools, as well as you know, some areas where there's clusters of oaks that we would prefer to preserve. So that's the type of thing I'm referring to.
Okay, thank you. And also, can you describe the grading? Would you be really, you know, flattening those areas? Or how would you characterize the grading, the extent of the grading, basically?
So we do our best to minimize grading, and the panels do allow for some slope to them. So it won't be a pancake out here by any stretch, but there are limitations on percentage grade that they can be situated on. And so we are, you know, trying to push the threshold of allowing the topography to remain natural by allowing as great a slope for the panels as they can reasonably adhere to.
Do you know that slope, you know, the max slope off the top of your head?
I don't have not with 100% certainty. I'd rather not, you know, be precise, but you know, 12 to 14% is kind of in the upper end.
Okay, thanks.
I'm not trying to be marbly mouth on it. I just want to make sure that I'm not the engineer, so I don't want to represent something and have it not be precise.
And also, one last, can you tell me where are the oaks, if you know?
Well, they're scattered throughout the site. You can see on this aerial a lot better.
Okay.
The main groves are down on the south end, but there are sporadic oaks within the site.
But mostly on the south side.
Yeah, down to the southwest, off-site to the property is a significant grove, or not off-site to the property, but the project area. And then actually, if we could bounce back to the previous slide, you can see just within the project boundary, that area on the southwest where there's a cutout right there. Yep, that's a significant oak growth that we're avoiding.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure.
Hi, Allison. This is Dylan Wood from CDFW. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Hi, Dylan.
Good afternoon. I was just wondering if any county staff or members of the project team could speak to the South Sacramento Habitat Conservation Plan and any current either plans or discussions you've had around that particular planning document. Thank you.
That's a loaded question, Dylan. Joelle or Julie, do you want to speak to that?
I mean, I can generally speak to
Yeah.
that. Dylan, this is Joelle. We've had some initial conversations internally about that, and we recognize that there's some discussion and some analysis that needs to take place in the CEQA document. But we're really in the infancy stage and haven't really gotten down the road on that, but it's on our radar, and we'll be coordinating moving forward on that. I don't know if anyone else wants to provide any more detail. I don't think we really have the detail at this point. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you for that, Joelle. It's something that we'll be looking at closely throughout the as the project develops, and then of course when the draft DIR is released. So it's one thing that would be of particular interest to our agency for a detailed analysis as soon as possible, just to make sure that we're not negatively impacting the plan, and then being consistent with all of the avoidance minimization measures, as well as the conservation strategy, biological goals and objectives. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And just, as an aside, maybe we haven't done the analysis, but it is our practice for even areas that are not necessarily within the UDA to have a consistency in terms of approach towards mitigation, and those avoidance and mitigation or minimization measures, sorry, are sort of the basis for that. So we try to keep that consistent throughout. Thanks for your comment.
I'll speak to this just for a brief moment. This is Kim Hudson. I'm the executive director for the South Sacramento Conservation Agency, and I'll be preparing some written comments regarding some things that should probably be analyzed in the EIR, but I think it's too soon for me to really be speaking to it at this meeting.
Good afternoon, Allison. Yeah, this is Jerry Park from SMUD. I have really no direct comments at this point here, but I was wondering, SMUD would like to request just more of a meeting with their environmental team, just for coordination and just to introduce our teams, since there may be some assistance that we could offer at the same time, and in the optics of some, seems like this is like a SMUD project, so they're contacting our directors. Would I contact you or Joelle in terms of setting up a meeting?
Either one of us. Yeah, we'd be happy to sit down with you. That'd be great, Jerry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Now I'll go ahead and email you in terms of scheduling. Thank you.
Yeah, we do want to make sure, because I understand they are building facilities for you for this project to tie in. And so, of course, we want to make sure that this document will work for your portion of the construction, whatever that might be.
Thank you.
This is Jim Michaels from State Parks. Can you hear me?
I can, thank you.
Yeah, so I'm with the Goldfields District, and Peter Jones, who's our sector manager for Prairie City SBRA, is on the call as well. We've been working with D.E. Shaw over the past year on the potential of them utilizing an easement across the state vehicular recreation area. There's some existing easements, and there will likely be some easement transactions that will happen across our property. We've also been working with them on some facilities at one of the concession areas at the SVRA, a cart track, and there's some facilities that will need to be relocated. due to the transmission line. And one question I have is if your environmental document is going to capture the relocation of those facilities, they'll all be relocated within the existing concession area, which is all disturbed ground.
AECOM can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we would be, to the extent we know where the relocation is to happen, it will be included in the document.
Yes, right. And we want to continue that coordination with you folks so that we do, in fact, understand the specifics of the required relocation in that, so that we can include the impact analysis as well as feasible mitigation and anything else we need to write in this environmental document. So thanks very much for tuning in and for that continued coordination.
Yeah, and then we are meeting with DE Shaw and SMUD soon. We're setting up a meeting specifically to discuss the size and configuration of the switch yard that would also be located on our property. And so I don't think the size of that switch yard has necessarily been finalized.
Yeah, I believe the applicant would know more on that.
Yeah, we will, that'll be something that we provide, and obviously having direct discussions with the state parks. So happy to continue that dialogue.
Put back to, there's our contact information again.
Hey,
Hi,
I'll,
Allison. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Rachel.
okay. Just, we're gonna send a standard NOP letter, just basically boilerplate, giving you a link to our latest CEQA guide. Here are all the things that you need to analyze. Here are links to how to do those analyses.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Allison. This is Ian Perkins Taylor from U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And for our comment, I just wanted to reiterate stuff that CDFW and South Sac Conservation Agency had said about it's really important to us that there be close coordination on this project to make sure it's in line with the South Sac HCP. And as much as possible, trying to, even though it's not a covered activity, trying to have it follow the avoidance and minimization measures from the plan and the mitigation strategy in order to meet the plan's overall biological goals and not compromise that in any way. And I know I'll say that U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has had a pre-application meeting with DUDEC about this already, and they're definitely open to that. And we'll need some interagency coordination to get that finalized. You know, I'm not expecting a definitive plan necessarily to be in the EIR, but just putting our comment in there as well.
Thank you. Yeah, that's helpful to hear. there anybody else that would like to ask a question or provide any thoughts, preliminary thoughts?
Hi, this is Peter Jones with California State Parks.
Hi, Peter.
Hi, I had put a comment in the chat just asking if this slideshow would be available for reference on your county project page.
Yeah, I can upload that to our planning projects viewer as well. Yes.
Okay, yeah, just curious. So if we submit a comment letter, we have it to reference.
Okay, yeah, I will, I'll put it up, I'll upload it today and it'll either show up today or tomorrow morning.
Okay, great. Thank you so
However
much.
the web works, yeah.
Hi, this is Nate Dobnak with Current Planning. This message is actually for the SMUD representative who's online. We do have another scoping meeting tomorrow. And if it's possible, we would like to have a SMUD presence at the public scoping meeting. Is that something we can work out a little later on today?
Yeah, actually, there is another individual that'll be participating tomorrow's meeting for the public.
I didn't quite catch that. That's
Yes,
affirmative?
there will be another individual that'll be at the public
Okay,
meeting.
perfect. Thank you.
Welcome.
And what time tomorrow is the meeting?
So the meeting tomorrow night is at 5:30 p.m. It's again another Zoom meeting. It has its own Zoom ID if you would like me to send it to you. It's also listed, I believe, on the NOP notice itself. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. But if there's anyone else who would like to speak up, let me know, or we can say thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate you coming and listening and providing us some comments and questions.
And nothing further from current planning. Thanks, Allison.
You're welcome. No. Sounds quiet. Okay, well, again, you have ideally until February 18th to get us those written comments. We really would appreciate anything to help us guide this document so that it is the best it can be. And of course, we're here if you need to ask us any questions. You can email us or give us a call. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Allison.
Thank you.
All right. Stop recording.